I'd always known my sister was beautiful. What I hadn't known was that her beauty would ruin my life. The church smelled of white roses and expensive perfume, the kind that clung to your throat and made you feel like you were drowning in luxury. I stood in the bride's preparation room, adjusting the pins in Valentina's veil while she stared at herself in the mirror with hollow eyes. "You look perfect," I whispered, though my hands trembled. She didn't respond. She hadn't spoken more than 5 words since yesterday, when our father had finalized the arrangement. Valentina Moretti, the jewel of our family, would marry Dante Caruso, heir to the most powerful crime family in the city. It was business. It was survival. It was the only way to pay our father's debts. 10 minutes! Someone called from outside. Valentina's breath caught. I watched her reflection as a tear slid down her powdered cheek, cutting through the makeup like a knife through silk. "Val, I can't," her voice cracked. "Lucia, I can't marry him." My heart stopped. "You have to. Papa said, I'm in love with someone else." She turned to face me, gripping my hands with desperate strength. "Antonio, we've been together for months. We were going to run away, but then this happened, and I can't marry a monster, Lucia. I can't." The world tilted beneath my feet. "Valentina, if you run, they'll kill Papa. They'll kill all of us." "Then you marry him." The words hung in the air like poison. I stepped back, shaking my head. "That's insane. I'm nobody." I'm not you. You're his daughter too." Her fingers dug into my wrists. "You're 23. You're unmarried. You could wear my dress, my veil. He's never met me, Lucia. He won't know the difference until it's done, and by then it'll be too late to back out without starting a war. Val, please. I'm begging you." Tears streamed freely now, ruining her makeup. "Save me. Save yourself. One of us has to survive this, and you're stronger than I ever was." I wasn't strong. I was a university student who loved books and quiet cafes. I'd never even been kissed. But as I looked at my sister, really looked at her, I saw the truth. She would break under Dante Caruso's hand. She would shatter like glass. Maybe I would too. But at least I could buy her time to escape. 5 minutes! The voice outside grew urgent. Valentina was already undoing the buttons of her dress, her movements frantic. "Hurry! Switch with me!" My hands moved without permission, pulling off my simple lavender dress while she stepped out of the wedding gown. The fabric felt heavy as death when she draped it over my shoulders. Too tight in some places, too loose in others, but the veil covered everything that mattered. "Your hair," I whispered. "It's longer than mine." She grabbed scissors from the vanity, and before I could stop her, cut 12 inches off in ragged chunks. Now we match. The door handle turned. Valentina shoved me toward the mirror, pressing a lipstick into my hand. "Touch up. Stand straight. Don't let them see your face until you're at the altar." "What will you do?" "Antonio is waiting 2 blocks away. By the time anyone realizes, I'll be gone." She kissed my cheek, her lips trembling. "I'm sorry. I love you." Then she slipped out the side door, leaving me alone in a wedding dress meant for someone else, about to marry a man who would probably kill me when he discovered the truth. The main door opened. A woman in black, clearly one of the Caruso family, gestured sharply. "It's time." I pulled the veil lower over my face and followed. The church stretched endlessly before me, every pew filled with dangerous men in expensive suits and women dripping with diamonds. I'd seen photos of Mafia weddings before, ostentatious displays of power, but nothing prepared me for the weight of their stares, the suffocating silence as I walked down the aisle alone. No music, no father to give me away. Papa was too ashamed to attend his own daughter's sacrifice. At the altar stood Dante Caruso. Even through the veil's lace I could see him clearly. Tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a black suit that probably cost more than my entire education. Dark hair swept back from a face carved from stone. Sharp jaw, straight nose, lips pressed into a hard line. But it was his eyes that stopped my breath. Cold, gray as winter, watching me approach like a predator studying prey. He didn't smile, didn't move, just waited with the patience of someone who knew he always got what he wanted. My legs nearly gave out on the final step. The priest began speaking in Latin, the words washing over me like a death sentence. I couldn't focus, couldn't breathe. The veil felt like a cage. "The rings," the priest prompted. Dante's hand reached for mine. The moment his fingers touched my skin, electricity shot up my arm. His grip was firm, controlled, neither gentle nor cruel. He slid a diamond ring onto my finger, too large, another reminder this wasn't meant for me, and I mechanically did the same with his band. "You may kiss the bride." No, not yet. If he lifted the veil, Dante's hands rose to the lace. I kept my eyes down, heart hammering against my ribs. He paused, his fingers barely touching the fabric, and I felt his stare burning into me. Then he lifted it. Our eyes met. I watched recognition fail to dawn, because he'd never seen Valentina either. But I saw something else flicker in those cold gray eyes. Surprise, perhaps, or calculation. His gaze traveled over my face slowly, taking in details I couldn't hide. The freckles across my nose that Valentina didn't have, the slight gap between my front teeth, the panic swimming in my brown eyes. His jaw tightened almost imperceptibly, then he leaned in and kissed me. It wasn't romantic, it was a brand, a seal. His lips were firm and cool against mine, claiming me in front of 300 witnesses. The kiss lasted 3 seconds. I counted each one before he pulled back. "Welcome to the family, Mrs. Caruso," he murmured, his voice low and dark as midnight. The church erupted in applause. I'd just married the most dangerous man in the city, and he had no idea I wasn't the woman he'd chosen. The reception took place in a mansion that looked like it had been stolen from a Renaissance painting. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, enough security to guard a small nation. I moved through it in a daze, my hand locked in Dante's iron grip, as he introduced me to men whose names I immediately forgot. "Smile," he whispered once, his breath warm against my ear. "You look terrified." Because I was. I forced my lips into something approximating happiness, while inside I calculated how long before someone realized the switch. Hours? Days? Valentina's plan had gotten me through the ceremony, but she hadn't thought past that. Neither had I. "Dante." A silver-haired man approached, flanked by bodyguards. "Congratulations! Your father would be proud." "Marco." Dante's tone cooled several degrees. "I didn't expect you to come." "Miss a Caruso wedding? Never." Marco's eyes slid to me, assessment sharp as broken glass. "She's lovelier than the photos suggested." There were photos? My stomach dropped. If he compared me to pictures of Valentina. "My wife is tired," Dante said, the word wife sounding strange and possessive in his mouth. "We'll speak another time." He steered me away before Marco could respond, his hand shifting to the small of my back. The touch burned through the thin fabric of the dress. "You don't like him," I ventured, testing my voice. "Marco Andretti represents the old ways, violence without strategy." Dante's gray eyes found mine. "He's also been trying to undermine my family for 5 years. Stay away from him." It was the most he'd said to me directly. I nodded, filing the information away. If I was going to survive this, I needed to understand the landscape. The dinner stretched endlessly. 7 courses I couldn't taste. Wine I didn't drink, terrified of lowering my guard. Dante sat beside me at the head table, his presence overwhelming even when he wasn't touching me. He spoke little, watched everything. And twice I caught him staring at me with an expression I couldn't read. Did he know? Was he waiting for the right moment to expose me? "You're not eating," he observed during the 4th course. "I'm not hungry." "You're nervous." It wasn't a question. I met his gaze searching for accusation, found only curiosity. Wouldn't you be? Something flickered across his face, too quick to identify. I suppose most brides would be, marrying a stranger. A stranger with a reputation. His lips curved slightly, not quite a smile. What have you heard about me, Valentina? The name felt like a slap. I was Lucia, but I couldn't say that. Couldn't ever say that. That you're dangerous, I whispered. I am. That you're brutal. When necessary. That you've killed men with your own hands. The almost smile vanished. Dante leaned closer, his voice dropping to a murmur only I could hear. I've done worse than kill, wife, but never to someone under my protection. And as of 3 hours ago, you're under my protection. Do you understand what that means? I shook my head, not trusting my voice. It means you're the most dangerous woman in this city, because anyone who touches you declares war on me. His eyes held mine, intense and unwavering. It also means you're the safest. No one will hurt you while I breathe. It should have sounded romantic. Instead, it sounded like a promise and a threat wrapped together, impossible to separate. Why? I asked before I could stop myself. Why what? Why marry at all? You could have... I gestured vaguely. Anyone, anything. Why agree to this arrangement? Dante studied me for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Your father owed mine $2 million. Marriage was cheaper than bullets. He paused. And I needed a wife who understood the stakes, one who came from this world who wouldn't flinch at what I am. But I wasn't that woman. I was a university student who'd spent the last 3 years studying literature, not crime. I didn't understand the stakes. I definitely flinched. Dance with me. Dante stood, offering his hand. It wasn't a request. The band had started playing something slow and instrumental. Couples filled the floor, men in dark suits with women sparkling like diamonds. Dante led me to the center, his hand sliding around my waist and pulling me close. Too close. I could feel the heat of him through my dress, the solid strength of his chest against mine. My hand rested on his shoulder, trembling. Relax, he murmured. They're watching us. I don't know how to dance like this. His gray eyes softened almost imperceptibly. Then follow my lead. He moved with surprising grace for someone so large, guiding me through the steps with patient pressure. One hand at my waist, the other holding mine. I focused on not stepping on his feet, on breathing, on pretending this was normal. You're different than I expected, Dante said after a moment. My heart stopped. How? Quieter. More... He seemed to search for the word. Fragile. Is that disappointing? No. His thumb brushed across my knuckles, a gesture so gentle it startled me. Just unexpected. The reports said you were... vivacious. Because Valentina was, my sister could light up a room just by entering it. I preferred corners and shadows. Maybe I'm just nervous, I whispered. Maybe. But he didn't sound convinced. The song ended. Another began. Dante didn't let me go, just kept me pressed against him as we swayed to music I couldn't hear over the pounding of my own heart. When do we leave? I asked. Soon. My men are loading your belongings into the cars. I had no belongings to load. Everything was Valentina's. Another detail that would unravel if examined too closely. Where are we going? My home. His hand tightened slightly at my waist. Our home now. The possessiveness in his voice sent shivers down my spine. Not entirely from fear. That terrified me most of all. We left the reception an hour later, under a shower of white rose petals and the flashing of cameras. Dante handed me into the back of a black SUV with tinted windows, then slid in beside me. 2 more vehicles followed. Security, I assumed. The driver didn't speak. Neither did the guard in the passenger seat. The privacy screen between us and them rose with a quiet hum, sealing us in leather-scented darkness broken only by passing streetlights. "You can relax now," Dante said. "We're alone." That was precisely why I couldn't relax. He'd removed his jacket and loosened his tie, the first time I'd seen him look anything less than perfectly controlled. In the shadows, he seemed larger, more dangerous, all sharp angles and contained power. "How far is your home?" I asked. 20 minutes. He was watching me again with that unreadable expression. "Are you afraid of me, Valentina?" "Yes." Terrified. But I couldn't say that. "I don't know you," I said instead. "You'll learn." He reached across the seat, his fingers finding my hand. I flinched before I could stop myself. Dante stilled. "I won't hurt you tonight, or any night, unless you betray me. Do you plan to betray me?" "No," I whispered. It was the truth. I had no idea how to betray someone like him. "Good." He brought my hand to his lips, pressing a kiss to my knuckles that felt more like a seal than affection. "Then we'll get along fine, wife." The SUV turned onto a private road lined with tall gates and armed guards. I caught a glimpse of an enormous house, no, an estate, looming against the night sky. My prison. My new life. God help me. Dante's estate sprawled across what looked like several acres of meticulously maintained grounds. The main house rose 3 stories, all glass and stone and old-world elegance. Security cameras dotted every corner. Men in dark suits patrolled the perimeter with visible weapons. This wasn't a home. It was a fortress. The SUV stopped beneath a covered entrance. Dante exited first, then offered his hand to help me out. My legs barely supported my weight after hours in heels not designed for my feet. Mrs. Caruso. An older woman in a gray dress appeared at the entrance. "Welcome. I'm Teresa, the head of household staff. If you need anything at all..." "Thank you, Teresa." Dante's voice cut smoothly through her greeting. "Have my wife's belongings been taken to the master suite?" "Yes, sir. Everything's been unpacked as requested." Unpacked. Valentina's clothes in closets I'd never seen. Her perfumes on counters I didn't know. How long before the staff noticed the new Mrs. Caruso didn't recognize her own possessions? Dante's hand found the small of my back again. That touch I was beginning to recognize as his preferred method of control. Gentle, but unmistakable. "This way." He led me through rooms that blurred together, marble, crystal, art that probably cost more than houses. Up a sweeping staircase, down a hallway lined with portraits of severe-looking men who shared Dante's sharp features. "Your family?" I asked. 3 generations of Carusos." He paused before a particular painting, a man with Dante's eyes, but a crueler mouth. "My father. He built this empire from nothing, died 2 years ago." "I'm sorry." Dante's jaw tightened. "Don't be. He was a bastard who ruled through fear. I prefer strategy." The honesty startled me. I'd expected walls, deflection, not this casual brutality about his own father. He stopped before a set of double doors. "Our rooms." "Our." The word hung heavy between us. Dante pushed the doors open, revealing a suite larger than my entire childhood apartment. A king-sized bed dominated the space, its dark blue linens already turned down. Through an open doorway I glimpsed a bathroom of ridiculous luxury, marble, gold fixtures, a tub that could fit 3 people. My suitcase, Valentina's suitcase, sat on a bench at the foot of the bed. "The closet is through there." Dante gestured to another door. "Teresa will assign you a lady's maid tomorrow. For tonight, can you manage?" I nodded mutely, unable to form words. He moved to a sidebar, pouring amber liquid into 2 crystal glasses. "Bourbon?" "I don't drink." His eyebrow lifted slightly. "Never?" "Not really." Valentina drank champagne at parties, I remembered too late. Another discrepancy. But Dante just shrugged, downing one glass and setting the other aside. Probably wise tonight anyway. He unknotted his tie completely, draping it over a chair, then started unbuttoning his shirt. My breath caught. "I'm going to shower," he said, those gray eyes finding mine. "Take your time getting ready for bed. I'm patient." The implications made my face burn. He disappeared into the bathroom. A moment later, I heard water running. I stood frozen in the center of the room, my mind racing. This was my wedding night, with a man I'd met hours ago, a man who expected— No, I couldn't think about that. My hands shook as I opened the suitcase, finding a nightgown I'd never seen before. Ivory silk, delicate lace, clearly chosen for tonight. I changed quickly, desperate to be out of the wedding dress that felt like it was suffocating me. The bathroom door opened. Dante emerged in dark pajama pants, and nothing else. I'd seen shirtless men before, in movies, in magazines, but nothing prepared me for the reality of him. Broad shoulders marked with scars, muscles that came from real violence, not gyms, and a tattoo over his heart, a crowned lion surrounded by Latin words I couldn't read. He noticed me staring. Family crest. Every Caruso male gets one at 18. What do the words mean? Strength through blood. He moved toward the bed with predatory grace. "You're still in your shoes." I looked down. He was right. I'd forgotten to remove them, too overwhelmed to complete even simple tasks. Dante knelt before me without warning. I gasped, stepping back, but he caught my ankle with gentle firmness. "Be still." His hands that had killed, that commanded an empire, carefully unbuckled the delicate strap of my heel. He slid it off, then repeated the process with the other foot, his fingers brushing my skin and leaving fire in their wake. "Better?" he asked, looking up at me from his knees. The vulnerability of the position seemed impossible for someone like him. Yet he knelt there, patient and calm, waiting for my answer. "Yes," I whispered. "Thank you." He stood, and suddenly we were too close, my head barely reaching his shoulder. I could smell his soap, something dark and expensive, and feel the heat radiating from his skin. "You're shaking," he observed. "I'm fine." "You're terrified." His hand cupped my cheek, thumb brushing across my cheekbone. "Of me, or of this?" "Both." The honesty escaped before I could trap it. I braced for anger. Instead, Dante's expression softened in a way I hadn't seen before. Almost tender. "Come here." He pulled back the bed covers, gesturing for me to get in. "We're not doing anything tonight except sleep." I stared at him. "We're not?" "You can barely stand. You haven't eaten. And you look like you'll break if I touch you wrong." He settled onto his side of the bed, keeping a careful distance. "I'm many things, Valentina, but I'm not a brute. Get in bed before you fall over." Relief and confusion warred inside me. I climbed in carefully, keeping to the very edge of the mattress, as far from him as possible. Dante reached over and turned off the lamp. Darkness swallowed us. I lay rigid, every muscle tense, listening to his breathing slow and even beside me. "Dante?" My voice came out small. "Why did you agree to marry someone you'd never met?" Silence stretched so long I thought he wouldn't answer. "Because the last woman I loved tried to kill me for a rival family," he said finally. "After that, I decided arranged marriages were safer. No pretense of love, just business and loyalty." "Someone tried to kill you?" "Put 3 bullets in my chest. I have the scars if you'd like to see them." His voice carried no emotion, just flat fact. "My father killed her entire family in response. Her parents, her younger brother. 15 people dead because she chose the wrong side." Horror crawled up my throat. That's monstrous. That's our world." He shifted, and I felt him turn toward me in the darkness. The world you married into. The world I thought you understood. Being a Moretti. But I wasn't a Moretti, not really. My father had kept me separate from the family business, sheltered in universities while Valentina learned to navigate this brutal world. I'd lied my way into something I couldn't escape. Go to sleep, Dante murmured. Tomorrow I'll show you your new life. Tonight, you're safe. Safe. With a man who'd just casually described the murder of 15 people. But as I lay there in the darkness, his steady breathing somehow calmed my racing heart. He could have taken what he wanted, could have demanded, forced, hurt. Instead, he'd given me space. Maybe there was gentle somewhere beneath all that brutality, or maybe I was already losing my mind. I woke to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar windows and the scent of coffee. For one blissful moment, I forgot where I was. Then memory crashed back. The wedding, the switch, the man sleeping beside me. Except Dante wasn't there. His side of the bed was already made, as if he'd never slept there at all. I sat up disoriented and found a note on the nightstand in sharp masculine handwriting. Breakfast at 8. Teresa will help you dress. Don't leave the house. D. Don't leave the house. Already rules. Already control. A knock at the door made me jump. Mrs. Caruso? Teresa's voice soft and respectful. May I come in? Yes. The older woman entered carrying a tray. Coffee, pastries, fresh fruit arranged like art. She set it on the small table by the window, then turned to me with a kind smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Mr. Caruso asked me to assist you this morning. He has meetings until noon but requests you join him for lunch. Requests. As if I had a choice. Thank you. I climbed out of bed, too aware of the revealing nightgown. I can manage on my own, though I don't need— Mr. Caruso was very clear, ma'am. Teresa's smile stayed fixed. I'm to help you, and to ensure you have everything you need. To watch me, she meant. To report back. I swallowed my protest and let her lead me to the bathroom where she'd already drawn a bath. The water steamed with expensive oils that made the room smell like jasmine and something darker, muskier. Your clothes are in the closet, Teresa said. I've selected a few appropriate options for the day. Mr. Caruso prefers— She hesitated. Elegant simplicity. Translation. He controlled what I wore too. I sank into the bath after she left, letting the heat unknot muscles I hadn't realized were clenched. Through the open door, I could see her moving through the bedroom, straightening things that didn't need straightening. Watching. This was my life now. Luxury and surveillance, safety and imprisonment. By the time I emerged, Teresa had laid out a dress. Dove gray, knee-length, conservative but expensive. Shoes that actually fit my feet, which meant Dante had noticed the borrowed heels hadn't been right. Jewelry that probably cost more than my education. Beautiful, Teresa approved when I had dressed. Mr. Caruso will be pleased. I was beginning to hate that phrase. The house revealed itself in daylight as even larger than I'd realized. Teresa gave me a brief tour: library, music room, formal dining room, sitting room, all immaculate and soulless. Like a museum, not a home. Mr. Caruso works in the West Wing, she said, as we passed a hallway guarded by 2 men. That area is private. Am I not allowed there? Only when invited, ma'am. More rules, more walls closing in. We ended in a sunroom overlooking gardens that looked professionally maintained. Teresa left me with a magazine and promises that lunch would be ready at noon. I tried to read, couldn't focus. My mind kept spinning over the same questions. How long before someone realized I wasn't Valentina? What would Dante do when he found out? Would he kill me? Send me back to my father? Start a war? All 3 seemed equally possible. Mrs. Caruso? I looked up to find a young woman in a maid's uniform standing nervously in the doorway. I'm sorry to disturb you, she said quickly. But there's a phone call. The caller insists it's urgent. Says she's your sister? My blood froze. Valentina. Calling here. Was she insane? I'll take it in. I had no idea where. The study, perhaps? The maid led me to a smaller room lined with books. An old-fashioned landline sat on the desk. Just press the blinking light. She left. I picked up the receiver with shaking hands. Val? Oh, thank God. My sister's voice came through frantic and tear-soaked. Lucia, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Where are you? I kept my voice low, terrified someone might hear. Still with Antonio. We're in a motel outside the city. She sobbed. I saw the wedding photos online. You looked beautiful. God, Lucia, what have I done to you? You saved yourself, I said, because it was true. Are you safe? For now, but they're looking for me. Papa's men, Antonio says. We need to disappear, go somewhere far away, but we don't have money and… She broke off crying again. I closed my eyes, pressing my forehead against the cool wall. I can't help you, Val. I'm being watched. I can't even leave the house. Is he… Has Dante… She couldn't finish the question. He's been… not cruel. The words felt strange. But this can't last. Eventually he'll figure out I'm not you. Maybe he won't. Maybe if you're careful. He already knows something's wrong. I thought of the way Dante watched me, the questions about my quietness. I'm not you, Val. I don't know how to be you. Then just be yourself. Maybe he'll… A sound in the hallway made me freeze. Footsteps. Heavy. Male. I have to go, I whispered. Wait, Lucia. I hung up as the study door opened. Dante stood in the doorway, still wearing his suit from whatever meetings he'd been in. His gray eyes went immediately to the phone, then to my face. Who were you talking to? His voice was calm, too calm. No one. Wrong number. The lie tasted like ash. He stepped into the room, closing the door behind him with a soft click that sounded like a prison lock. Try again, Valentina. I don't tolerate lies. My heart hammered against my ribs. It was my sister. I didn't know you had a sister. Because the arrangement had been for Valentina specifically, the eldest Moretti daughter, I'd never been part of the equation. We're not close, I managed. She just wanted to… congratulate me. Dante moved closer, each step measured and deliberate. Strange. Your father never mentioned another daughter in any of our negotiations. He wouldn't, she's… I scrambled for an explanation. Estranged from the family, disappeared years ago. And she just happened to call today? Hours after our wedding? He stopped directly in front of me, so close I had to tilt my head back to meet his eyes. Do you think I'm stupid, wife? No, His hand shot out, gripping my chin firmly. Not painful, but absolutely controlling. I have men who can trace that call in 10 minutes. I can find out exactly who you were talking to, where they are, what you said. His thumb brushed my lower lip. Or you can tell me the truth right now, and maybe I'll be merciful. Tears pricked my eyes. From fear, or the pressure of his grip, I couldn't tell. She needed money, I whispered. To leave town with her boyfriend. I told her I couldn't help. Why would she think you could? Because I married you, because everyone knows the Carusos have money. Dante studied me for a long, tense moment. Then he released my chin and stepped back, pulling his phone from his pocket. He pressed a button. Marco, he said when someone answered. I need you to trace a call. My home line 10 minutes ago. Find the location and anyone involved. He paused. No, don't touch them. Just locate them and report back. He ended the call and returned his attention to me. If your sister is in trouble, I need to know. If she's a threat to you, I need to know that too. His voice softened slightly. I meant what I said last night. You're under my protection, but that only works if you're honest with me. The terrible thing was, he almost sounded like he meant it. She's not a threat, I said. She's just scared. Everyone's scared of something. Dante moved to the door, then paused. Lunch is ready. Come eat. And Valentina? He looked back at me. No more phone calls without telling me first. It wasn't a request. Lunch was served in a smaller dining room overlooking the gardens. Just Dante and me at a table that could seat 12, with staff hovering at the edges like ghosts. He'd removed his jacket and rolled up his sleeves, revealing forearms marked with more scars. He ate with the same controlled precision he did everything else, measured, deliberate, never rushed. I pushed food around my plate, my appetite gone. You need to eat, Dante said without looking up from his own meal. You barely touched dinner last night. I'm not hungry. That's not a request, Valentina. Eat. The command in his voice made my spine stiffen. I forced down a bite of chicken that tasted like sand. Dante's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, his expression darkening. Your sister was in a motel on Route 9, was. They checked out 20 minutes before my men arrived. You promised you wouldn't touch them. I keep my promises. His eyes found mine. But others might not be so careful. Marco Andretti has been asking questions about your family. If he finds out about a secret sister, he'll use her against me, against you. Then let her go. She's nobody. She doesn't matter. She matters to you. Dante set down his fork with careful precision. Which means she matters to me. I can't protect what I don't control. So you'll control my sister too? Bitterness crept into my voice. Add her to your collection? Something flashed in his eyes. Anger, maybe, or hurt. I'm trying to keep you both alive. By having us followed, traced, monitored? By being 3 steps ahead of people who would cut your throat for sport. He leaned back in his chair, studying me. You really don't understand this world, do you? I understand that you treat people like possessions. I treat my possessions very well. His voice dropped to something dangerous. And I don't let anyone take what's mine. The air between us crackled with tension. I should have been terrified. Part of me was. But another part, the part I didn't want to acknowledge, felt something else entirely when he looked at me like that. Like I mattered. Like I was worth protecting. Even if the protection felt like a cage. I have work this afternoon, Dante said, standing. But tonight we're hosting a dinner party. Important business associates. You'll need to be ready by 7. A dinner party? Panic rose in my throat. I don't know how to. Teresa will help you. He moved around the table, stopping beside my chair. His hand rested on my shoulder, heavy and warm. Just smile, be charming, and let me do the talking. You're a Moretti. You know how these things work. But I wasn't a Moretti. Not really. And I definitely didn't know how to be the wife of a Mafia boss at a dinner party full of dangerous men. Dante's thumb brushed against my neck, just below my ear. You'll be fine. I'll be right beside you the entire time. Then he left, taking all the air from the room with him. Teresa spent 3 hours preparing me for the dinner party. Hair styled in elaborate waves, makeup that made me look like someone else, a dress that cost more than 6 months of rent, midnight blue silk that hugged every curve I didn't know I had. Perfect, she breathed, stepping back. Mr. Caruso will be very pleased. I stared at my reflection. The woman looking back was sophisticated, elegant, confident, everything I wasn't. Mrs. Caruso? Another maid appeared. The first guests are arriving. My hands shook as I descended the stairs. I could hear voices from the main room, deep, masculine, speaking Italian too quickly for me to follow. The click of my heels on marble sounded like gunshots. Dante stood near the entrance, dressed in another perfectly tailored suit, speaking with 3 men I didn't recognize. When he saw me, he broke off mid-sentence. Our eyes met across the room. Something shifted in his expression. Surprise, appreciation, something darker that made my pulse race. He crossed to me in 3 strides, offering his arm. "You look stunning," he murmured, his lips close to my ear. "I look like a stranger." "You look like my wife." His hand settled at my waist, that possessive touch I was beginning to know. "Ready?" No, not even close. But I nodded anyway and let him lead me into the lion's den. The dinner party was exactly as terrifying as I'd feared. 12 guests, all dangerous in expensive clothing. Marco Andretti sat directly across from me, his silver hair and cold smile making my skin crawl. Others I didn't recognize, politicians I gathered, and lawyers, and men whose exact roles I didn't want to know. Their wives sparkled beside them, dripping diamonds and judgment. "Mrs. Caruso," one woman said, her accent thick and her smile sharp. "We were all so curious to meet Dante's bride. He's been quite selective." Translation: "We're judging every word you say." "I'm honored he chose me," I managed. "Moretti stock," Marco said, raising his wineglass. "Good bloodlines. Strong family ties." His eyes gleamed with something unpleasant. "Though I heard rumors about some family instability recently." Dante's hand found my thigh under the table, squeezing gently. A warning or comfort, I couldn't tell. "The Morettis are solid," Dante said coolly. "Any rumors you've heard are likely your own wishful thinking, Marco." Several guests laughed nervously. Marco's smile never wavered. Of course. Just marketplace chatter." He turned his attention back to me. "Tell me, Mrs. Caruso, how are you finding married life?" Every eye at the table swiveled toward me. "It's—" I searched desperately for the right words. "An adjustment, but a welcome one." "So diplomatic." Marco leaned forward. "But surely you must have opinions, desires?" "I imagine a young bride has many hopes for her marriage." Dante's hand tightened on my thigh. "I hope," I said carefully, "for exactly what I've found. Safety, security, and a husband who honors his word." It was the right answer. I could feel Dante's approval in the way his grip softened, becoming almost caressing. "Well said," one of the other men noted. "Dante, you've found yourself a clever one." The conversation shifted to business, shipping routes, political bribes, territory disputes. I sat silent, trying to disappear while Dante's hand remained on my thigh, his thumb drawing small circles that shouldn't have felt as distracting as they did. Under the table, hidden from view, he was gentle, almost tender. Above it, he was all cold calculation and subtle threats. I didn't know which version was real. The guests finally left around midnight. I stood beside Dante in the entrance, my face aching from forced smiles as he saw the last of them out. The door closed. The staff disappeared. Suddenly, we were alone in the vast, silent house. "You did well tonight," Dante said, loosening his tie. I barely spoke. "Exactly." He turned to face me, his expression unreadable. "You listened, you observed. You didn't give Marco anything he could use." His hand cupped my cheek, the gesture now familiar, but no less electric. "You're smarter than you pretend to be." "What makes you think I'm pretending?" "Because you're terrified, but you haven't broken. You're hiding something, but you haven't run." His thumb traced my lower lip. "And you're looking at me right now like you can't decide if you want to kiss me or kill me." My breath caught. I would never kiss me or kill me. Either. Liar. But he said it almost fondly. "Come. You must be exhausted." He led me upstairs to our bedroom, his hand at the small of my back. Inside, he began unbuttoning his shirt with the same methodical precision he did everything. I stood frozen, unsure what came next. Dante glanced at me, one eyebrow raised. "Are you going to sleep in that dress?" No, I just... Need help?" He crossed to me, turning me gently. His fingers found the zipper, pulling it down with agonizing slowness. Cool air hit my spine. There. He stepped away before I could react, giving me space. I'm not going to touch you, he said quietly. Not until you want me to. And if I never do? His smile was sad and knowing. Then you'll die a very wealthy, very protected virgin, wife. He gestured to the bathroom. Go change. I'll be waiting. I fled to the bathroom, my heart racing for reasons I didn't want to examine. 3 days passed in a strange routine. Dante left early for meetings I wasn't privy to. I wandered the house like a ghost, reading in the library, walking the gardens under the watchful eyes of guards. Teresa remained my constant shadow, kind but vigilant. At night, Dante returned. We ate dinner together, talked about nothing important, went to bed in the same room, the same bed, never touching beyond the occasional brush of hands. It was driving me insane. Not because I wanted more, I couldn't, but because the waiting felt like torture, waiting for him to discover the truth, waiting for the other shoe to drop, waiting for something, anything, to break the terrible tension building between us. On the 4th night, everything changed. Dante came home late, near midnight. I was already in bed reading when I heard shouting downstairs, then a crash, then silence. I crept to the bedroom door, opening it a crack. 2 of Dante's men stood in the hallway, their faces grim. How many? Dante's voice sharp as broken glass. 4 dead, 6 wounded. They hit the warehouse on 7th. Marco? His men. They left a message. More silence. Then, call everyone. I want a full meeting at dawn. Footsteps retreated. I ducked back into the bedroom, heart pounding. The door opened moments later. Dante entered and I gasped. Blood stained his white shirt. His knuckles were split and swollen. A cut above his left eye dripped red down his cheek. You're hurt, I said before I could stop myself. It's not my blood. He moved past me toward the bathroom. Go back to sleep. But I couldn't. I followed him, watching as he stripped off the ruined shirt and turned on the sink. Blood, his or someone else's, swirled down the drain. Let me help, I heard myself say. I don't need help. You're bleeding, above your eye. He glanced at me in the mirror, his expression unreadable. Then, after a long moment, he nodded. I found a first aid kit under the sink. My hands shook as I wet a cloth and approached him. Dante stood still, watching me with those gray eyes that missed nothing. This might sting, I whispered, reaching up to clean the cut. I had to stand on my toes to reach. Dante solved the problem by lifting me effortlessly and setting me on the bathroom counter, bringing us eye to eye. This close, I could see the exhaustion in his face, the weight he carried. This close, he looked almost vulnerable. I cleaned the cut carefully, trying not to hurt him. He never flinched. What happened tonight? I asked softly. War. His voice was rough. Marco's making his move. He thinks the marriage weakened me, made me soft. Did it? His hand settled on my waist, holding me steady. Yes. The admission shocked me into stillness. Dante's eyes held mine. I've spent 3 nights sleeping next to you without touching you. I've watched you wander my house like a prisoner. I've seen you flinch when I come too close. His thumb brushed across my ribcage, just below my breast. I've never wanted anything the way I want you. And I've never felt this powerless. Powerless? My voice came out breathless. You don't want me. You're afraid of me. And I can't. He stopped, jaw clenching. I've taken cities, destroyed families, built an empire. But I can't make my own wife look at me without fear. I'm not afraid of you, I whispered. Liar. I'm afraid of this, of what I'm feeling. The confession escaped before I could trap it. You're everything I shouldn't want, dangerous and violent and gentle with me. My hands rested on his bare chest, feeling his heart race beneath my palms. You could take what you want, force it, but you don't. I never would. I know, and I did. Somehow, impossibly, I knew. That's what scares me most. Dante's forehead pressed against mine, his breath mingling with my own. Tell me to leave you alone. Tell me you want separate rooms. Tell me anything except this half-existence where I have you and don't have you at the same time. I can't. Why not? Because I was falling for him. Because despite every logical reason to hate him, fear him, want to escape, I didn't. Because when he looked at me like this, like I was something precious and breakable and worth protecting, I felt seen in a way I'd never experienced. But I couldn't say any of that. Because I wasn't who he thought I was. Because this entire foundation was built on lies. Dante, I started. He kissed me. Not like at the wedding, not a brand or a seal. This was desperate and hungry and achingly gentle all at once. His hands cradled my face like I might shatter. His lips moved against mine with a tenderness that made my chest hurt. I kissed him back. My hands slid into his hair, his arms wrapped around my waist, pulling me closer. The bathroom counter dug into my thighs, but I didn't care. Lost in the taste of him, the feel of his skin under my hands, the sound he made when I bit his lower lip. He pulled back, both of us breathing hard. We should stop, he said, though his hands didn't release me. Why? Because if we don't, I won't be able to. His thumb traced my swollen lips. And you deserve better than a bathroom counter after I've been covered in blood. I don't care about the blood. You should. But he kissed me again anyway, softer this time. God help me, Valentina. You should run from me. Where would I go? His laugh was dark and pained. Anywhere. Everywhere. As far from this life as possible. And if I don't want to, then you're crazier than I am. I smiled against his mouth. Probably. He lifted me off the counter, carrying me to the bedroom, but instead of the bed, he set me in the chair by the window and stepped back. Not tonight, he said, reading my confusion. When we do this, and we will, I want you sure, completely sure. Not caught up in adrenaline and fear and whatever temporary insanity makes you think you want me. I am sure. No, you're not. He grabbed a clean shirt from the closet, pulling it on. You're feeling grateful that I haven't hurt you. Grateful that I've been kind. But that's not the same as wanting this. Don't tell me what I feel. Then tell me yourself. He crossed back to me, kneeling so we were eye level. Tell me you understand what I am, what I do. Tell me you can live with that. Could I? I'd seen the blood, heard about the violence, knew that the man looking at me with such painful honesty had killed people with his own hands. But I'd also seen his gentleness, his patience, the way he controlled everything except how he felt about me. I understand, I whispered. No, you don't. He pressed a kiss to my forehead, achingly tender. But maybe someday you will. And if you still want me, then... He stood. We'll see. He climbed into bed, leaving space for me. I joined him, and this time when we lay in the darkness, I didn't stay at the edge. I moved closer, testing. Dante's arm came around me, pulling me against his chest. Sleep, he murmured into my hair. Tomorrow's going to be hell. He wasn't wrong. But for tonight, wrapped in his arms, I felt safer than I had since this all began. Even knowing it was all built on lies. Even knowing it couldn't last. I woke to an empty bed and the sounds of raised voices downstairs. The meeting Dante had called. I'd forgotten. I dressed quickly in jeans and a sweater, the first casual clothes I'd worn since arriving, and crept into the hallway. The voices grew louder as I approached the top of the stairs. Cannot let this stand! A man I didn't recognize, his accent thick. 4 of our men are dead, Dante. 4! And Marco will pay for every one. Dante's voice cold and controlled. But we do this smart. A full assault gets us nowhere but a war we can't afford. So we do nothing? Another voice, younger, angrier. We look weak. We look strategic. The sound of glass clinking. Marco wants us to react emotionally, make mistakes. I won't give him that satisfaction. I sat on the top step, hidden from view, listening. Perhaps, a smoother voice suggested, if your new bride weren't such a distraction. The crack of something hitting a wall. Then Dante's voice, deadly quiet. Finish that sentence, and I'll cut out your tongue. Silence. My wife, Dante continued, is not your concern. She's not anyone's concern but mine. Is that understood? A chorus of agreement. Good. Now let's discuss actual strategy instead of gossip like old women. I retreated back to the bedroom, my heart racing. He'd defended me, violently, without hesitation. The meeting lasted another hour. When Dante finally appeared, he looked exhausted, the cut above his eye now properly bandaged. You were listening, he said. Not a question. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. It's fine. He loosened his tie, that gesture I'd come to recognize as his way of shedding the day. You should know what's happening. It affects you too. Are we in danger? Always. He crossed to me, his hands finding my waist. But I meant what I said downstairs. No one touches you. No one even thinks about using you against me. Because I'm your wife. Because you're mine. His eyes held mine, intense and unwavering. In every way that matters. My breath caught. Dante, I know what I said last night. About waiting. About making sure. His thumb traced my jaw. But I'm tired of waiting, Valentina. I'm tired of sleeping next to you and not being able to touch you. I'm tired of pretending I don't feel this. Feel what? Everything. He bent his head, his lips brushing just below my ear. Tell me to stop. Tell me you don't want this. Tell me anything except yes, and I will walk away right now. I should have said no, should have pushed him away, should have come clean about everything, the switch, the lies, the fact that I wasn't who he thought I was. Instead, I whispered, Don't stop. His control shattered. Dante kissed me like I was air and he'd been drowning. His hands tangled in my hair, tilting my head back for better access. I gasped against his mouth, and he took advantage, deepening the kiss until I couldn't think, couldn't breathe, couldn't remember why this was a terrible idea. He walked me backward toward the bed, never breaking contact. My knees hit the mattress and I would have fallen, but his arm locked around my waist, holding me steady. Are you sure? He asked again, his voice rough. I nodded, not trusting my voice. Say it. I need to hear you say it. I'm sure. The words came out trembling but certain. I want this. I want you. Something fierce and possessive flashed in his eyes. He laid me back on the bed with surprising gentleness, following me down, his body covering mine. If you change your mind, he murmured against my throat. If anything is too much, you tell me, immediately. Understand? Yes. His hands found the hem of my sweater, pausing. Permission. I lifted my arms, helping him remove it, then my jeans, then everything else until I lay before him in nothing but trembling skin and racing heartbeat. Dante pulled back, just looking at me. I fought the urge to cover myself. Beautiful, he breathed. God, you're beautiful. You're still dressed, I managed, my voice shaking. The corner of his mouth lifted. We can fix that. He stripped with efficient movements, revealing the full map of scars that covered his torso. Bullet wounds, knife cuts, a burn across his ribs, evidence of every violent moment that had made him who he was. I reached out, tracing a particularly nasty scar over his heart. Does it hurt? Not anymore. He caught my hand, pressing it flat against his chest. Feel that? His heart raced beneath my palm as fast as my own. You do that to me, he said quietly. Just by existing. Just by being here. Then he kissed me again, and all my fears dissolved into sensation. He was gentle, painfully, achingly gentle. Every touch asked permission. Every kiss gave me space to breathe. When I tensed, he slowed. When I trembled, he soothed. His hands mapped my body like he was memorizing something precious, something he couldn't bear to break. Dante, I gasped when his mouth found sensitive skin. Tell me what you need. His voice was strained, controlled only by force of will. I've never. Understanding flashed across his face. Never? I shook my head. Suddenly embarrassed, his expression softened impossibly further. Then we go slow as you need. And he meant it. For the next hour, longer, maybe, I lost track of time. He showed me pleasure I hadn't known existed, patient and thorough, and absolutely focused on my every reaction. When he finally moved over me, his eyes locked with mine. This might hurt, he warned, for a moment, but I promise it gets better. I trust you. The words came out without thought, but they were true. Somehow, impossibly, I did trust him. He entered me carefully, watching my face for any sign of pain. I gasped at the initial intrusion, my body tensing around him. Breathe, he murmured, holding completely still. Just breathe, sweetheart. The endearment nearly undid me. I'd never heard him use pet names, never heard that softness in his voice. I forced myself to relax, to breathe like he said. The pain faded to something else, pressure, fullness, an ache that was almost pleasant. Okay? Dante asked, his jaw clenched with the effort of restraint. Okay. He moved then, slowly at first, building a rhythm that had me clinging to his shoulders. The pleasure built in waves, overwhelming and terrifying and perfect. When I finally shattered, crying out his name, he followed moments later, burying his face in my neck. We lay tangled together afterward, both of us breathing hard. Are you all right? Dante asked, brushing sweat-dampened hair from my face. Better than all right. His smile was genuine, unguarded in a way I'd never seen. Good. He pressed a kiss to my temple. Stay here. I'll get something to clean up. He returned with a warm cloth, taking care of me with the same gentle precision he'd shown during. Then he climbed back into bed, pulling me against his chest. Sleep, he said. I've got you. I should have felt guilty, should have been planning how to tell him the truth, should have been terrified of what came next. Instead, I felt safe, wrapped in the arms of a killer who'd been nothing but tender with me, knowing I'd just made everything infinitely more complicated. I woke to gunfire. For a moment I thought I was dreaming. Then Dante was hauling me out of bed, shoving me toward the bathroom. Stay there, he ordered, his voice deadly calm. Lock the door. Don't come out until I come for you. What's happening? Marco's making his move. Now. More gunfire, closer this time, shouting, the sound of glass shattering. Dante grabbed a gun from the nightstand, I hadn't even known it was there, and moved toward the door. He paused, looking back at me. No matter what you hear, he said, stay hidden. Then he was gone. I stood frozen in the bathroom, wearing only his shirt from the night before, listening to my entire world explode. The gunfire was constant now, overlapping cracks and booms that made my ears ring. Men shouting in Italian, screaming. The heavy thud of bodies hitting the floor. I slid down the wall, knees pulled to my chest, and prayed. I don't know how long it lasted. Minutes? Hours? Time dissolved into pure terror. Eventually the gunfire slowed, stopped. Silence fell, somehow worse than the noise. I waited, counting my heartbeats, too afraid to move. Then footsteps in the bedroom. Heavy, deliberate. The bathroom door handle turned. Valentina, Dante's voice rough and exhausted. It's me, you can come out. I unlocked the door with shaking hands. Dante stood in the doorway, covered in blood. His shirt was torn. His knuckles were split and raw. A fresh cut across his cheek bled freely. But he was alive. I threw myself at him, not caring about the blood, just needing to feel him solid and real beneath my hands. "You're okay," I sobbed into his chest. "You're okay." His arms came around me, holding tight. "I'm okay. You're okay. That's all that matters." "What happened? Is it over?" "For now." He pressed a kiss to the top of my head. "Marco's men are dead or captured, but he got away. This isn't finished." I pulled back enough to see his face. "How many?" "How many what?" "How many did you kill?" He didn't flinch from the question. 6, maybe 7. I stopped counting. The admission should have horrified me, should have sent me running. Instead, all I could think was that he'd done it to protect me, to protect us. "I need to see to my men," Dante said gently, prying my arms from around his waist. "Get dressed. Stay in this wing of the house until I come back." "How bad is it out there?" His expression turned grim. "Bad." I dressed in jeans and a sweater with trembling hands, then made myself walk through the house. Dante had told me to stay in our wing, but I needed to see, needed to understand what my presence had brought into his life. The main floor looked like a war zone. Bullet holes pocked the walls. Blood stained the marble floor in dark pools. Furniture lay overturned and shattered. I counted 4 bodies covered with white sheets before I had to look away. In the library, Dante stood with 3 of his men, all of them armed and alert. He saw me in the doorway and his expression darkened. "I told you to stay upstairs." "I needed to see." "Well, now you have. Happy?" "No." I stepped into the room, glass crunching under my shoes. "I'm horrified. But I needed to see what you're protecting me from." One of his men, a younger guy with a bandaged shoulder, spoke quietly in Italian. Dante responded in the same language, his tone sharp. The man ducked his head and left, taking the others with him. We were alone. "You shouldn't be down here," Dante said, his voice softer now. "This is my mess to clean up." "Your mess? Marco attacked because of me, because he thinks I make you weak." "Marco attacked because he's ambitious and stupid." Dante crossed to me, his bloody hands framing my face. "This has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with me." Tears blurred my vision. "People are dead because I'm here, because you married me. People are dead because Marco chose violence over diplomacy. That's on him, not you. But if I wasn't here, if you weren't here, I'd be dead." His thumb wiped away my tears. "Do you know what happened when they breached the house? What the first thing I thought was?" I shook my head. "That I needed to protect you. That nothing mattered except keeping you safe." His forehead pressed against mine. "You didn't make me weak, Valentina. You gave me something worth fighting for, beyond territory and money and power. I don't want to be the reason you die. You're the reason I'll stay alive." He kissed me, gentle despite the violence still staining his hands. "I have too much to lose now." Footsteps approached. Teresa appeared in the doorway, her usual composed expression cracked with worry. "Mr. Caruso, we have a problem." "What now?" "The police. They're at the gate. Someone called in the gunfire." Dante swore under his breath. "How many?" "4 cars so far. More coming." He released me, his mind already shifting to the next crisis. "Tell them we're cooperating with the investigation. Show them the security footage. Edited, obviously. I want Marco's men identified as the aggressors." "And the bodies?" "Take them to the warehouse. I'll deal with them later." He looked at me. "You need to be gone before they come in. Can't have you caught in the middle of a police investigation on your 2nd week of marriage." "Where am I supposed to go?" "The safe house in the mountains." Teresa will drive you. He grabbed a pen and paper, scribbling something quickly. This is the address. Don't tell anyone where you are. Don't use your phone. I'll come for you when this is handled. Dante, please. The word sounded wrong in his mouth, like he never used it. I can protect you from Marco. I can't protect you from the police asking questions I can't answer. He was right. I knew he was right. But leaving him felt like tearing off a limb. How long? I asked. A few days, maybe a week. He pulled me close one last time, kissing me hard. I'll come for you. I promise. 20 minutes later, I was in the back of a black SUV with Teresa driving, watching Dante's estate disappear in the rearview mirror. Police lights flashed at the gate. News vans were already arriving. And I was running again, just like I'd been running since this all started. But this time I wasn't running from Dante. I was running to protect him. The difference felt monumental. The safe house was a cabin buried deep in the mountains, accessible only by a dirt road that barely qualified as passable. One bedroom, a tiny kitchen, and enough security cameras to monitor a prison. Teresa left me with supplies and instructions to stay put. Mr. Caruso will call when it's safe, she said, then drove away, leaving me completely alone for the first time since the wedding. I lasted 3 hours before the isolation drove me to pace. No phone, no internet, no way to know what was happening. Was Dante okay? Had the police arrested anyone? Had Marco made another move? The questions spiraled until I couldn't think straight. On the second day, I found an old radio in a closet and managed to get it working. The news came through in staticky bursts. Violent shootout at the Caruso estate. 4 men dead, multiple wounded. Dante Caruso cooperating with police investigation. Questions about possible gang warfare. Cooperating meant they hadn't arrested him. That was something. But it also meant he was trapped dealing with authorities, unable to come for me. I sat on the cabin's porch as the sun set, wrapped in one of his jackets I'd found, and finally let myself think about everything. The lies, the deception, the fact that I'd fallen for a man who thought I was someone else. What happened when he found out? Because he would find out. Eventually, inevitably, the truth would surface. Would he hate me? Kill me? Cast me out? Or would he understand that I'd been trying to save my sister, just like he was always trying to protect the people he cared about? I didn't know, couldn't predict. But I knew one thing with absolute certainty. I was in love with Dante Caruso. Not because he was powerful or wealthy or dangerously attractive, but because beneath all that violence and control, he'd been gentle with me, patient, honest about what he was, never pretending to be something better. He'd given me a choice every step of the way, even when he could have simply taken what he wanted. The sound of an engine jolted me from my thoughts. I stood, heart racing, watching headlights wind up the mountain road. Too soon. It had only been 2 days, unless something had gone wrong. I ducked inside, grabbing the gun Teresa had left with basic instructions. My hands shook as I checked it was loaded. The vehicle stopped. A door slammed. Footsteps on the porch, then Dante's voice. Valentina, it's me. Don't shoot. I flung open the door. He stood there, still in the clothes from 2 days ago, looking exhausted and beautiful and alive. I dropped the gun and launched myself at him. He caught me, his arms locking tight. I told you a few days. It's been 2 days. I couldn't wait. He buried his face in my hair. I needed to see you, to know you were safe. What about the police? Handled. Marco's being blamed for everything. The DA's calling it territorial warfare. He pulled back enough to see my face. I'm clear, for now. And Marco? Still out there, but weakened. Most of his support crumbled when they realized I wasn't going to roll over. His thumb traced my jaw. This bought us time, but it's not over. What happens now? Now we go home, together. He hesitated. Unless you want out, I'd understand if you did. If all this violence, all this danger. I kissed him, silencing the offer. When I pulled back, his eyes were dark with emotion. I choose you, I said firmly. I choose this life, all of it. The danger, the violence, the uncertainty. Because I also get you. You barely know me. I know enough. I took his hand, pressing it over my heart. I know you're ruthless with your enemies and gentle with me. I know you could have broken me a dozen times over, but chose patience instead. I know you kill without hesitation, but you've never once made me feel unsafe. Valentina, I'm staying, Dante. Whatever comes next, I'm staying. He looked at me for a long moment, something vulnerable and raw in his expression. Then he kissed me, deep and claiming and desperate. I don't deserve you, he murmured against my lips. Probably not. His laugh was surprised and genuine. Come on, let's go home. The drive back took 2 hours. Dante held my hand the entire time, his thumb drawing circles on my skin. I need to tell you something, he said, as we approached the city. My heart stopped. Did he know? Marco made an interesting claim during our negotiations. Dante's jaw tightened. He said he had information about your family, about secrets that could destroy my reputation if revealed. What kind of secrets? He wouldn't say, but he threatened to expose them if I didn't surrender territory. His gray eyes found mine. I told him to go to hell. That nothing he could reveal would make me turn my back on you. Guilt crushed my chest. Dante, whatever it is, I don't care. You understand? I don't care about your family's past, about mistakes, about anything except you. This was the moment. The perfect opening to tell him everything, but the words stuck in my throat, because if I told him now, after he'd just defended me to Marco, after he'd chosen me over territory and power, what if it broke something between us that couldn't be repaired? Thank you, I whispered instead, for trusting me. The cowardice tasted like ash. We arrived home near midnight. The estate had been cleaned, repaired, restored to its usual pristine state, but I could still see the faint evidence: patched bullet holes, replaced furniture, a section of marble floor that didn't quite match. Welcome back, Mrs. Caruso, Teresa greeted us at the door. Everything is ready for you. Upstairs, our bedroom looked exactly as we'd left it, like the violence had never happened. But it had, and I knew it would happen again. Dante pulled me close, pressing a kiss to my temple. Tomorrow we deal with everything. Tonight, I just want to hold you. We lay in bed together, his arms around me, his heartbeat steady beneath my ear. Dante? What happens if Marco does expose some secret, if he finds something that changes how you see me? His arms tightened. Nothing could change how I see you. You don't know that. Yes, I do. He tilted my chin up, his eyes fierce. You're mine, Valentina. Whatever secrets you have, whatever past you're running from, it doesn't matter. You're mine, and I protect what's mine. The words should have comforted me. Instead, they felt like a ticking clock. Because Marco would keep digging. And eventually, he'd find Valentina, the real one. And when he did, I pushed the thought away and burrowed closer to Dante, memorizing the feel of his arms around me. Tomorrow could bring disaster. Tonight, I had this. It would have to be enough. 3 weeks passed in relative peace. Dante's lawyers kept the police investigation contained. Marco went underground, licking his wounds. Life in the estate settled into a new rhythm. Dangerous, but stable. I should have been relieved. Instead, I felt like I was waiting for an axe to fall. It fell on a Tuesday afternoon. I was in the library when Dante's phone rang. I could only hear his side of the conversation, but his tone turned to ice within seconds. Where? A pause. No, don't touch her. I'm coming. He ended the call and looked at me, his expression unreadable. What happened? I asked. My men found your sister. The world tilted. She's alive, Dante continued, living in a motel 2 states over with her boyfriend, pregnant, apparently. Valentina was pregnant, with Antonio's child. Oh God. What are you going to do? My voice came out barely above a whisper. That depends. He crossed to me slowly, each step measured. On what you tell me right now. He knew. Somehow he knew. Dante. The truth, Valentina. Or whoever you are. His voice was deadly calm. Because my men just sent me photos, and the woman they found looks exactly like you. Same face, same eyes, same everything. My legs gave out. I sank into the nearest chair. Twins, I whispered. We're twins. Twins. He repeated the word like it was foreign. So which one am I married to? The question hung between us like a blade. I forced myself to meet his eyes. Lucia. My name is Lucia Moretti. Valentina is my twin sister. She was supposed to marry you, but she couldn't. She was in love with someone else. So you took her place. His voice had gone dangerously quiet. You've been lying to me for 3 weeks. I was trying to protect her. You lied to me. The sudden rage made me flinch. Dante slammed his hand on the desk, making everything jump. You stood in that church and made vows using your sister's name. You came to my bed as someone else. You let me fall for... He stopped himself, jaw clenched so tight I could see the muscle jumping. I'm sorry, I sobbed. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I didn't mean to feel what I feel. Which is what? Exactly? His gray eyes were cold as winter. Did you even mean any of it? Or was it all just part of the deception? Of course I meant it. I stood on shaking legs. Every word, every touch, everything. The only lie was my name, Dante. Everything else was real. Your name is who you are. No, it's not. I moved toward him, desperate. I'm still the woman who was terrified on our wedding night. Still the woman you were patient with. Still the woman you taught to... My voice broke. I'm still me. Lucia or Valentina, I'm still the same person the same person I what? He grabbed my arms, not gentle, his grip almost painful. The same person I fell in love with? Is that what you were going to say? The admission hung between us, raw and bleeding. Yes, I whispered. Well, I fell in love with a lie. He released me, stepping back like I'd burned him. I don't even know you. You know me better than anyone. I know Valentina, or who I thought was Valentina. There is no Valentina. The words tore out of me. She was never going to be your wife. She was never going to love you or understand you or choose this life. That was me. All of it was me. Dante stared at me for a long moment. Then he pulled out his phone and made a call. Bring her in, he said to whoever answered. Who? The library door opened. 2 of Dante's men entered, escorting a woman between them, Valentina. My sister looked terrible, thin, pale, her belly just starting to show. She saw me and burst into tears. Lucia, I'm so sorry. I tried to run farther, but Antonio left me and I didn't know what to do. Quiet, Dante commanded. Valentina fell silent immediately. He looked between us, his expression carved from stone. Identical, down to the last detail. Please, Valentina begged. Don't hurt her. Lucia did this for me. She sacrificed herself to save me. If you're angry, be angry at me. Oh, I'm angry at both of you. Dante's voice could have frozen fire. But I'm making a decision right now that will affect all our futures. He looked at me. Lucia Moretti, you defrauded me. You entered a legal marriage under false pretenses. I could have it annulled, could send you back to your father, could— He stopped himself. Could do a lot of things. My heart shattered. I understand. But I won't. The words took a moment to register. What? The marriage stands. You are legally Lucia Caruso now. I had my lawyers check. The name you signed doesn't matter because you're her twin and biologically identical. No court would overturn it. His jaw tightened. And I meant what I said. You're mine, even if you lied about who you were. Relief and confusion warred inside me. Then why? Because you need to understand what you've cost us. He gestured to Valentina. Your sister will stay here, under my protection, since she's carrying my brother-in-law's child. Valentina gasped. What? You wanted to save her? Congratulations. She's now part of this family, which means she's a target for everyone who wants to hurt me. His eyes found mine again. That's the consequence of your lie, Lucia. Your sister gets to live the life you tried to spare her from. Dante, please. Unless you want to walk away right now. Leave, disappear. I'll give you money. A new identity, whatever you need. His voice dropped. But if you stay knowing that your lie put your sister in danger. Can you live with that? It was a test. A punishment. A choice. I looked at Valentina, seeing my own fear reflected in her eyes. Then I looked at Dante and saw past the anger to the hurt beneath. He'd trusted me, opened up to me, and I'd lied. But I'd also fallen in love with him. Really, truly, completely. I stay, I said firmly, and I'll spend the rest of my life making this right. That might not be long enough. Then I'll keep trying anyway. Something shifted in his expression. Not forgiveness, not yet, but maybe the possibility of it. Get your sister settled, he said finally. We'll talk more later. He left the library, taking all the air with him. Valentina collapsed into a chair, sobbing. Lucia, what have I done to you? What we've done to each other. I knelt beside her, taking her hands. But we survive it. Together, like we always have. I'm so sorry. I know. Me too. That night, Dante didn't come to bed. I lay alone in the darkness, wearing his shirt, wondering if he'd ever forgive me. Near dawn, the door finally opened. Dante stood in the doorway, silhouetted by hallway light. Dante. I'm still angry, he said quietly. I'm furious, actually, but I also can't stand to sleep without you. He climbed into bed, keeping careful distance between us. I don't know how to fix this, I whispered. Neither do I. He was quiet for a long moment. But I know I don't want to lose you, even knowing you lied, even knowing I should walk away. Why? Because somewhere in the last 3 weeks, you became necessary to me. His hand found mine in the darkness, and I don't know how to undo that. I laced my fingers through his. I love you, the real you, not the idea of you, not who I thought you should be. You, exactly as you are. I loved who I thought you were, then learned to love who I actually am. His grip tightened. That might take time. I have time. And forgiveness? I'll earn it, however long it takes. He pulled me closer, and though the anger still lived in the tension of his muscles, he held me like he couldn't bear to let go. We had survived violence, betrayal, and war. Maybe we could survive truth too. The future stretched uncertain before us, Marco's still out there, Valentina's presence complicating everything, the weight of my lies still sitting between us. But as I fell asleep in Dante's arms, I chose to believe we'd survive. We had to, because I'd already lost everything to stay in this dangerous world, and I wasn't about to lose him too.